Are you talking to me?
I believe so. I'm actually at work with several lines, but it's 798-9715 that I think I'm on now.
Okay.
Muted.
Okay, Dr. Bowman, are you still here? Okay, I'm going to fix that, sir. Let me just do something here. There's quite a few callers, so let me see if I can Dr. Bowman, if you don't mind, if you could hit *6 on your phone, I'm going to try to bring you back in.
Perfect. Got it.
There you are, sir. Folks, I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Bowman from Utah. He's a medical doctor, and he knows a whole bunch about nutrition. So we're going to let Dr. Bowman take the call from here, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much, and thank everyone for joining me. I just finished doing some urgent care work today, and every day that I work just helps me to realize just how much we need to tell people about Laminine. I suspect that most of those on the call realize that what Laminine is, that it's a fertilized avian egg at 9 days, and I like you to think about Laminine not as a vitamin or mineral, but as an amino acid. And a lot of people say, well, what is that? That just went over my head, depending on how much medical knowledge that you've got. But amino acids, we eat them. It's in the proteins that we eat. In this case, it's in Laminine with something very special that most proteins don't have. And we will get into that as I kind of go along. But that's what Laminine is. If you said, well, what does it do? Why is it that the doctors would get behind this product and tell people to take it? It is because of what it does, which is basically the way that I explain it is that it is food for stem cells. We all have stem cells in our system. They are a cell that can become anything. If it needs to help your brain or your liver or your kidneys, this is not only food for those stem cells, but also it helps to direct those. And so anyway, that's what you think of as this is like food for probably the most important cell in our body because it can become any cell. Not only that, but inside Laminine is something that, I just call it the foreman, and it is inside Laminine. It is the technical word is fibroblast growth factor, or FGF. But I tell people, don't even worry about memorizing that. Just realize that there is a foreman inside Laminine, and it nurtures stem cells. In other words, it gives them nutrient. It directs amino acids, again, the building block of a lot of the hormones that are inside your body. Sometimes people are telling me, why is it that, I'm depressed, or and sometimes it's for reasons that it needs that hormone to be made. And if it can't make it, sometimes it's because it doesn't have the ingredients. If I told you I want you to make a loaf of bread, but you can't use flour, that loaf of bread's probably not going to turn out. Well, if your brain needs to make certain hormones and your body needs to make hormones and it doesn't have the right ingredients, it's not going to turn out very well. And fibroblast growth factor, Laminine, these all help your body to have the direction and the nutrient in order to build up things that your body needs. And so we'll kind of go over those quickly. I'm going to have to talk fast because there's so much Laminine does that it's impossible for me to get it in 20 minutes. But if I talk fast, I can get a lot of it in. Number one, Laminine causes a natural stimulation of hormones. DHEA is a hormone that can become testosterone, estrogen. It can even cause an increase in it can help with libido, with muscle recovery, muscle tone. It's amazing. If you don't know much about DHEA, you will after you take Laminine because you're going to feel that difference. I really like to think of one of my favorite things about Laminine is that it is for almost anything wrong with the brain. It elevates serotonin. That's the feel-good hormone. depression, anxiety. I've given it to patients that were severely depressed, had anxiety, just stressed out of their mind, and I've given them Laminine, and it's gone away. And it increases clarity, alertness. If you're having a hard time memorizing or forgetting things or telling people that you're, the same story twice, Laminine can help that. It is a true memory enhancement medicine. And a neuron, which most people say, what is that? What are the? Well, just if you think about it, if you tap your foot, that has to go all the way from your brain through the nerves, and it goes from one nerve to the next nerve to the next nerve to tell your foot to tap. And that's essentially a good way to think of neurons. Well, Laminine helps improve how those neurons talk to each other. So you can see major differences. I've had people with Parkinson's disease and other major medical problems in the brain that Laminine has helped. Another thing Laminine will do, it actually helps to reduce body weight. It reduced a lot of the aging process. It increased, I've just found that it will increase growth hormone. Other things that it does, because it can build collagen. If you ever, and it's especially older people, for some reason, their skin will get really thin. I had a lady in the other day that her skin was so thin, all she did was hit up against a doorknob, and it just tore it open. It took me about 45 minutes to an hour just to show it, just to close it with some stitches. Well, if she had been on Laminine, her skin would have been thicker. She would have had more collagen underneath her skin, healthier skin. She would have looked younger. Her hair would have been stronger and better. Her fingernails would be stronger. It is just unbelievable what this can do. And I always tell people, why not try it? It is worth the try because it's backed by research. And that's another reason doctors get behind a product like Laminine, is that it's not just, my sister said this works. This stuff is backed by research. And that helps us to realize just how legitimate that this is. I mean, it will even help decrease muscle spasm, that kind of thing. And that's just something that I've seen in my practice. But definitely, some people think growth hormone is only made for people who need to get taller. It's not. Every one of us on the phone right now makes growth hormone until they die. It starts to decrease in your younger years, but we still need it to feel good and to feel an optimal health. Other things that are brain-related that is just amazing is its effect and treatment on autism, obsessive-compulsive disorder. I've seen people with Parkinson's disease that literally I met with a gentleman that could hardly walk. He almost had to kind of think of each step that he took. And we started him on Laminine, and his Parkinson's disease improved by probably 70%. Some people think that's not a lot, but if you've got Parkinson's, it is a lot. The same with Alzheimer's. I've seen huge improvement with that. Also, things I've seen that I'm really impressed with is attention deficit disorder. Remember, it is for the nerves, along with many other things, but that is one thing that it does do. Another benefit for those who are trying to lose weight is that they did a study, in fact, and found that it would actually burn fat and curb your appetite. And so especially when it was used with exercise, so you kind of don't get away without exercising, but when the two were used together, it was significant. So, again, testosterone, which increases muscle tone, muscle strength, stamina, libido, increased energy. I have even seen it help with pain. And basically, arthritis, athletic injuries, worn out cartilage. Because remember, it can turn into any cell. It is a stem cell medicine. What else does it do? I mean, sometimes people at this point go, no, it can't do that much. But if you look into stem cells, you will know that what I'm saying is true. But one thing that it does is it lowers cortisol. Now, cortisol is a stress hormone. Some people think, maybe the pioneers had stress. I think we've got more today. I often tell people, if you don't have stress, let me know, because I haven't met anybody yet who doesn't. Well, it decreased the stress hormone by 50%. significant. And that actually helped decrease high blood pressure. So I've got patients who their blood pressure is now normal, less heart disease, less stroke, less asthma, irritable bowel syndrome, colitis. The list is just huge because of this stem cell nutrient and foramen in there telling it where to go. It actually contains something called lecithin, which helps decrease cholesterol, kind of keep it in check, at least in a normal range. It had L-arginine that helped your blood vessels. Some people say, well, you know what, I already feel good. And I say, feeling good or feeling okay really isn't sometimes that great of a quality of life, depending on what, just how bad it is. I tell people, don't aim for feeling good or feeling okay. I think you should be able to say, I feel fantastic. I feel awesome. And I think if you really try Laminine, and I'll tell you, when I started it, I started on 4 a day because I just wanted to feel good soon. And then later, if I wanted to cut back a little bit, I could, but I wanted to really get that result so that I could tell people like the listeners right now that it really does work. So anyway, don't take that, I already feel good. What you really want to do is take the time, use it. My suggestion is to start out on 4 a day. That might not be every doctor's suggestion, but because I want you to feel good, that is mine. Some of the other things were specific amino acids. So I want to just tell you a little bit more about an amino acid so that you have knowledge. And obviously we all know that knowledge is power, not only for your own understanding, but so that you can tell other people. Because most of the amino acids, and if you said again, what are they? It's food. An amino acid is food. And specifically the proteins, such as eggs, which Laminine is made from these avian eggs, inside are all of these amino acids that are the building blocks of what your body needs. And they have actually been able to take amino acids and do research on them and decide which amino acids were good for which portions of the body. Now, obviously, you don't need to memorize all of that because it just helps you to know where it's going to help. So if you have a friend that says, I am really having a lot of problems with my bones, you can say with confidence and with research that there are amino acids that come from food and are in Laminine that can help bones, help arthritis. So I'm running out of time quickly here. I only have about 5 minutes left, but I want you to know what some of those are doing. And I'm not even going to tell you the name of the amino acids because I don't want you to have to memorize something that someone probably isn't going to understand. Instead, I'm just going to tell you that these certain amino acids that are in Laminine can help these areas. So one we already discussed was the brain. Inside the brain is a gland. It's just a small little gland called the pituitary gland. That's where you get growth hormone. We mentioned the heart. I have not yet mentioned the liver. So those of you who know someone with a liver problem, I would not hesitate to say, try this. It's definitely not going to hurt anything. It's got food, but it's got not only food, it's got the highest nutrient that they could get at 9 days of fertilization of an avian egg. So liver, gallbladder. There's people suffering with gallbladder problems, and it can help that. Even your blood has to have these amino acids because almost every protein, obvious proteins, but parts of our body need these amino acids to do their job. We mentioned muscle, another gland that is inside your brain that is a regulatory gland. It's called the hypothalamus, and it regulates temperature and fever. And I tell a lot of people, what you need is nutrient for the hypothalamus because it does so much in your body. Thyroid. Think of all the people that have thyroid problems and they don't have enough thyroid. And I found that a lot of doctors are sometimes only checking one part of the thyroid when it's important to check too. Well, if Laminine can do it, isn't it nice to be able to take something that's natural, that's from a fertilized avian egg, instead of having to take a pill? Now, I'm not saying, hey, stop all your pills, because you want to get the Laminine on board, and then your doctor can say, man, your thyroid's doing better, your blood pressure's doing better, and he can be the one that will take you off. Stomach problems is definitely a huge one. I mean, those who suffer from irritable bowel syndrome, and those of you who don't know what that is, I mean, if you look at a lot of medical journals like I do, a lot of times they don't know. You could go to the best specialist in the world and say, why is it that my stomach cramps? Sometimes they'll have alternating constipation, diarrhea. Just their intestines are giving them a miserable life. And here we have a pill that can help that irritable bowel. I have given it to my own daughter. This is how much I trust it. Every member of my family, I buy enough bottles that we all have Laminine just sitting there waiting. And every single member of my family has told me. My wife, her nails were just brittle. Her hair was brittle. And she started it, and she was like, order me some more. And I just make sure that every month that it comes in. So pancreas. Now, remember, a big thing that I haven't mentioned is cancer. I often tell people that irritation leads to mutation, which is cancer. And it's a definite irritant. All these areas of your body that don't have the ingredient it needs to make things. And that's why I often look at things like the pancreas, because it's so important. I mean, I look at Patrick Swayze, how he died from his pancreatic cancer, because it's so hard to know if you've got it. Most doctors don't just do CAT scans, and so, just if there's no symptoms. And so I tell people, if there's something that you can do to prevent cancer, make sure that you do it, because the fact is, on cancer, a lot of times people think that they're preventing cancer. If I, for instance, with breast cancer, I'll say to my patients, how are you preventing breast cancer? The answer is almost always, I get my mammograms. Well, that detects cancer, but it doesn't prevent cancer. And if there is something that is for stem cells that can help prevent cancer, definitely, for the low cost that this is, there is no doubt in my mind that anyone with cancer would say, okay, let's do it, but it would be even smarter to just do it anyway. This is something, the reason that it came out was because of its prevention for cancer. So it helps your skin. We mentioned how it brings down collagen, irritation, and actually helps build collagen so your skin is not so thin, but it also helps you to look younger. And then, of course, we mentioned bone and how it can help your bone. I've had patients with severe pain, osteoarthritis, that were just miserable all the time, that I have given Laminine to. And I literally have had people come to me and say, thank you. Probably the biggest thank you I ever got was for brain disorders, things like Alzheimer's and growth hormone and Parkinson's. And, sometimes we think, I won't get that. And yet, it's like my dad used to say, none of us is getting out of here alive. Well, why not have quality life? I've seen so many people who, right up until the end, their life was miserable. And if I can increase your quality of life, you can bet that I am going to get on this phone and I'm going to say, I know how to give you a better quality of life, more stamina, more energy, help your hormones, and do it in a natural way with no synthetic hormones inside, that type of thing. Then I'm going to get on that phone and tell them. And so with that, my time is up right now. So I will turn the time back over and just really encourage you to just try it. It's not going to hurt anything to give it a try. Thank you so much.